Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Erikson. Have you ever felt like you're the only sane person in a room full of chaos? Like nobody gets it? But you? Maybe it's at work, where your manager constantly rushes you to meet impossible deadlines. Or at home, where your partner gets emotional over things you think are small. Or perhaps in your circle of friends, where someone always seems too talkative, too passive, too picky, or just difficult. At some point, we've all thought it. Why is everyone around me acting like an idiot? But what if they aren't? What if the problem isn't their intelligence, but your understanding? In Surrounded by Idiots, Swedish behavioral expert Thomas Erikson dismantles one of the most common myths in human interaction: that difficult people are stupid. Instead, he reveals a powerful truth. People simply operate from different personality types. And once you understand those types, everything changes. Misunderstandings turn into clarity. Conflicts become conversations. And what used to frustrate you suddenly makes perfect sense. This book is not just another self-help theory. It's a roadmap for mastering human behavior, improving communication, and building stronger relationships in every area of life. At work, at home, in love, in friendship. Erikson introduces a practical and deeply insightful system based on 4 main personality types, represented by colors: red, yellow, green, and blue. Each color comes with its unique strengths, weaknesses, motivations, and fears. And here's the mind-blowing part. Once you understand these colors, you won't just improve your relationships. You'll unlock a superpower that helps you navigate every human interaction with empathy and precision. Think about the last time you were misunderstood. Or worse, the last time you misunderstood someone. The pain of being ignored, the stress of conflict, the weight of silence, the sting of criticism. It all begins with misreading the people around us. We assume others should think and feel like we do. And when they don't, we call them difficult, annoying, emotional, cold, or stupid. But the truth is, they're just speaking a different psychological language. And once you learn to translate that language, the whole world starts to make sense. This isn't about labeling people or boxing them in. It's about unlocking doors that have been shut for far too long. Doors to real connection, authentic communication, and emotional intelligence. In this video, we're going to walk through each of the 4 personality types. You'll learn to identify them, understand their core motivations, recognize their behavior patterns, and, most importantly, know how to work and live with them without conflict. You'll finally understand why your boss is so demanding, why your partner avoids confrontation, why your friend can't stop talking, and why your colleague obsesses over every detail. You'll start to recognize the colors in the people you meet every day and in yourself. You'll become more patient, more persuasive, more confident, and more compassionate. Because when you see people for who they really are, not who you want them to be, you change not just your relationships, but your whole reality. If you've ever been frustrated by someone's behavior and thought, "Why are they like this?" then keep watching. The answer is coming, and it will change the way you see people forever. Part 1. The red personality. The dominant driver. Imagine walking into a room and immediately sensing who's in charge. Not because they said so, but because the energy shifts when they speak. Their words are sharp, direct, no nonsense. Their gaze is piercing, their posture commanding. They don't ask for permission. They make decisions. That's a red personality. Reds are the people who wake up in the morning ready to conquer the world. They're assertive, competitive, confident, and deeply goal-oriented. In every situation, they're looking for progress, control, and results. To them, life is a battlefield, and they're not here to play. They're here to win. Red personalities are natural-born leaders. They thrive in high-pressure environments. Give them a challenge, and they'll crush it. Give them a problem, and they'll find the fastest way to solve it. They're decisive, bold, and unapologetically action-driven. If something needs to get done, a red will not just do it. They'll do it now. They don't believe in waiting. They don't believe in excuses. And they definitely don't believe in sugarcoating the truth. Reds value efficiency over emotions, results over relationships, and control over comfort. That can make them feel intimidating to others. But to Reds, it's just how things should work. But here's the catch. Every strength has a shadow. And for Reds, that shadow can be quite intense. Their drive for results can easily turn into impatience. Their confidence can come off as arrogance. Their directness can feel like aggression. Reds often have little tolerance for what they perceive as weakness, indecision, or inefficiency. If you're slow to respond, unsure of your stance, or hesitant to act, a red may steamroll right over you, not because they hate you, but because they can't understand why you're not moving faster. Empathy is not their natural strength. They may struggle to see or care how their behavior affects others, especially if emotions are involved. You can spot a red by the way they move through the world. Their body language is bold, strong handshakes, firm eye contact, purposeful strides. They speak in short, direct sentences, often with an authoritative tone. Under stress, Reds become even more controlling and decisive. While others might freeze or hesitate, Reds rise to the challenge. Their natural instinct is to take charge. If no one's leading, they'll step up, whether invited or not. And if someone is leading, Reds will evaluate their competence quickly. If they sense weakness, they'll challenge it. To a Red, power must be earned. And if you can't lead, you're not worth following. So how do Reds see the people around them? Frankly, they're often frustrated. They don't understand why others need so much reassurance, discussion, or emotional validation. To a Red, talk is cheap. Action is everything. They may view more sensitive or cautious types as slow, weak, or overly emotional. Yellows might seem too chaotic, greens too passive, blues too nitpicky. Reds believe in moving fast, breaking barriers, and making decisions. Anything that slows them down can feel like an obstacle. But deep down, Reds aren't trying to hurt anyone. They're simply wired for results. They believe success is earned, not given, and they expect everyone to keep up. In real life, you'll find Reds leading companies, starting businesses, commanding teams, and pushing boundaries. Think CEOs, military officers, elite athletes, or entrepreneurs who rise to the top not because they're the smartest, but because they never stop moving. People like Steve Jobs, Gordon Ramsay, or Serena Williams embody Red traits: relentless, bold, and uncompromising. They don't chase approval, they chase greatness. And while their methods might be harsh, their impact is undeniable. If you want to connect with a Red, you have to adapt. Don't beat around the bush. Be clear, confident, and concise. Skip the small talk. Get to the point. Show that you value time and results. If you're pitching an idea, focus on outcomes, not feelings. If you're in a meeting, don't ramble, deliver. And whatever you do, don't take their bluntness personally. Reds aren't trying to insult you. They're just allergic to inefficiency. They respect strength, clarity, and courage. If you stand your ground and match their energy, you'll earn their respect, even if you disagree with them. But if you bring emotion into the conversation too early, act unsure, or need constant validation, a Red might tune out, or worse, bulldoze you. That's why understanding their style is key. When you stop expecting empathy from a red and start appreciating their drive, you unlock a new level of collaboration. You realize that behind their fire is focus, behind their intensity is passion, and behind their dominance is a desire to make things happen. They don't hate people, they just hate stagnation. Reds tend to clash with other types for obvious reasons. With blues, their speed runs into resistance. Blues want details, analysis, and perfection, things reds find painfully slow. With greens, reds can feel frustrated by passivity. Greens want peace and harmony, reds want action and results. With yellows, there's more overlap, but even then, reds may grow impatient with a yellow's spontaneity and lack of structure. The red's biggest challenge? Learning that not everyone moves at their speed, and that's okay. The truth is, red personalities are not rude. They're just radically driven. And in a world that often rewards passivity and compliance, their energy can be misunderstood. But when you look beyond the surface, you'll find visionaries, warriors, builders, people who push humanity forward through sheer willpower and determination. If you can learn to work with them rather than against them, you'll not only survive, you'll thrive. So the next time someone comes off as too blunt, too fast, or too intense, pause. Don't label them an idiot. Recognize the red. Respect the drive. Adapt your communication. And watch how everything changes. Because when you understand a red, you don't just understand a person, you understand power. Part 2. The yellow personality. The inspiring optimist. Imagine walking into a room and instantly being drawn to someone laughing, gesturing wildly, and telling a story that has everyone captivated. They light up the space like sunshine, radiating charisma and charm. Their energy is infectious, their optimism boundless. These are the people who make life feel lighter, more colorful, more possible. This is the yellow personality. Yellows are the vibrant dreamers of the personality spectrum. Enthusiastic, expressive, imaginative, and endlessly social. Yellows are the lifeblood of parties, the spark in brainstorming sessions, the morale boosters in workplaces, and the magnetic force in friendships. They thrive on connection, creativity, and communication. Every interaction is an opportunity for them to engage, to inspire, and to be inspired. They don't just live life, they celebrate it. At their best, yellows are visionaries. They see possibilities where others see problems. They bring people together, generate new ideas, and breathe life into stale environments. Their strength lies in their ability to communicate, not just clearly, but compellingly. They tell stories, paint pictures with words, and spark excitement in others. Their imagination isn't just playful, it's powerful. Yellows often become the source of innovation, motivation, and hope in any group or team. But like all personality types, yellows come with challenges. Their high energy, while inspiring, can sometimes spiral into chaos. Disorganization is a common issue. They may forget deadlines, lose focus mid-project, or start a dozen things without finishing one. Consistency is not their strength. Excitement is. When a task feels boring or repetitive, a yellow's motivation plummets. They crave stimulation, newness, and variety. The same thing every day? That's their version of a slow death. They can also be distractible, easily pulled in different directions by their own imagination. Their mind races with ideas, connections, and what-ifs. While others are busy refining one solution, a yellow is already 3 steps ahead, dreaming up 10 more. And though they're fantastic at starting things, they often struggle to bring those things to completion, not because they don't care, but because their enthusiasm naturally shifts to whatever feels most exciting at the moment. So, how do you spot a yellow? It's not hard. Just follow the laughter. Yellows are animated in both voice and body language. They talk with their hands, their face, their whole body. They use vivid stories, dramatic expressions, and quick wit to keep people engaged. They thrive in environments where they can share ideas, collaborate, and entertain. Under stress, yellows don't usually become aggressive or withdrawn. They often become even louder or more scattered, overcompensating with humor or deflection to avoid confronting discomfort. To a yellow, life is a grand adventure. It's not meant to be taken too seriously. There's always a brighter side, a new idea, a fresh opportunity just around the corner. They believe in people, they believe in the future, and they believe that anything is possible with the right energy and mindset. That's why some people find them overwhelming or too much. Their constant positivity can feel unrealistic to more grounded personalities. Their enthusiasm may seem shallow to deeply analytical types. But make no mistake, beneath the fun and flair is a mind brimming with creativity and a heart longing for connection. In real life, yellows often show up as entertainers, influencers, marketers, public speakers, or creatives. Think of Robin Williams, Oprah Winfrey, or Richard Branson, people whose charm and charisma aren't just personal traits, but tools that inspire millions. These are the idea people, the brand builders, the storytellers. They might not always be the best at following routines or staying inside the lines, but they are masters of breaking molds and igniting movement. So how do you communicate with a yellow? First, be positive. They feed off energy, so match theirs. Be expressive. Show emotion. Use metaphors, stories, humor. Don't just give them data. Paint them a picture. Show genuine interest in who they are. Ask about their ideas, their dreams, their experiences. They thrive on attention and affirmation. Not in a shallow way, but because connection is their oxygen. Make them feel seen, and they'll give you their whole heart. And if you need to give them feedback, be careful. Yellows are sensitive to criticism, even if they don't show it. Harsh, blunt, or cold correction can deeply wound them or shut them down. Instead, frame feedback in a constructive, encouraging way. Focus on what can be improved without killing their spirit. Encourage them by emphasizing their strengths, then gently guide them to what needs fixing. They'll respond much better if they feel supported rather than scolded. Now, here's the key challenge yellows face: follow through. Starting things comes naturally. Finishing them? Not so much. If you work with a yellow, help them channel their energy. Break big projects into smaller wins. Add accountability without micromanaging. Give them variety, but also structure. When you help a yellow focus, not by forcing them into a box, but by supporting their rhythm, you unlock brilliance. They'll dazzle you with ideas, charm you with enthusiasm, and bring an emotional spark that lifts everyone around them. What looks like flightiness is actually a form of creative genius unleashed. Yellows are innovators, motivators, dreamers. They challenge the dull, question the routine, and ask, why not? They bring color to black and white thinking. And while they may frustrate the more orderly among us, they remind us all of something deeply important: that life is supposed to be lived with joy, passion, and imagination. So the next time you meet someone who talks too much, laughs too loud, or jumps from idea to idea, don't roll your eyes. Recognize the yellow, celebrate the creativity, connect with their passion, and remember, they're not too much. They're exactly what the world needs to keep dreaming. Part 3. The green personality, the harmonious peacemaker. Picture this. There's tension in the room. People are arguing, Voices are rising. But in the corner, there's one person who hasn't said much, yet their presence is calming. They listen, they nod, and when they finally speak, they offer a perspective that somehow bridges the gap, cools tempers, and restores balance. That's the green personality in action. Greens are the peacekeepers of the world. Calm, loyal, dependable, and steady. They are the ones you can always count on when things get tough. While other personality types charge forward with energy or dominate conversations with ideas, greens take a different path. They bring patience where there's urgency, empathy where there's ego, harmony where there's chaos. At their core, greens value peace, internally and externally. They avoid conflict, not because they're afraid, but because they believe in unity. They would rather lose a debate than lose a friend. In their world, relationships matter more than victories. Comfort matters more than change. Consistency matters more than ambition. Greens are deeply loyal. Once you earn their trust, they'll stick with you through thick and thin. They're excellent listeners, often the first person a friend turns to when life gets hard. They don't interrupt. They don't judge. They just get it. Their empathy runs deep, and their ability to hold space for others is unmatched. When you're around a green, you feel safe. But that inner harmony comes with its challenges. Because they're so committed to keeping the peace, greens often avoid confrontation, even when it's necessary. They may suppress their own needs or opinions to avoid upsetting others. They might agree outwardly while disagreeing inwardly. They're also notoriously slow to make decisions, not because they're indecisive by nature, but because they want to consider everyone's perspective. They don't want to make the wrong move or hurt someone unintentionally. And change? Greens don't hate it, but they don't seek it out either. Change threatens stability, and for a green, stability is sacred. So they might resist new ideas, new roles, or fast-moving environments. They need time to adjust, to feel safe, and to make sense of what's happening. Pressure them, and they shut down. Give them space, and they'll come around on their own. How do you spot a green? Look for the quiet one who's always helping. They don't draw attention to themselves. Their body language is reserved, their voice soft, their tone diplomatic. They rarely express strong opinions unless asked directly. Under stress, they withdraw, become even more passive, or try to mediate even when it's not their role. They might seem like background players, but don't be fooled. These are the emotional anchors of any group, and that's exactly why greens are often overlooked. In a world that rewards loud voices and bold moves, greens move silently, but powerfully. They're the glue that holds teams together. They build trust over time. They smooth over conflicts, support others behind the scenes, and make people feel like they belong. You may not notice them at first, but when they're gone, everything feels a little more unstable. Real-life greens show up everywhere, as teachers, counselors, nurses, community leaders, and supportive friends. They're team players, not because they lack ambition, but because they genuinely care about collective well-being. They're not trying to be the star. They're trying to keep the show running smoothly. Their strength lies in their subtlety, their resilience, and their unwavering commitment to people. So how should you communicate with a green? First, be kind. Be gentle. They don't respond well to aggression or pushiness. Give them time to process information and make decisions. Don't demand answers on the spot. Let them reflect. Avoid raising your voice or putting them on the defensive. And most importantly, show appreciation. Greens may not seek recognition, but they deserve it. If you need to bring up an issue or request change, do it with care. Start by affirming their value. Make it clear you're not attacking them. Use we language instead of you language. And remember, patience is key. If you try to rush or bulldoze them, you'll only create resistance. Now here's something important. Greens often struggle in fast-paced, competitive, or high-pressure environments, not because they're incapable, but because those settings violate their need for harmony. They may get overwhelmed by chaos or shut down when people are too aggressive. But give them a calm, supportive space, and they'll shine. They'll bring unmatched emotional intelligence, unwavering support, and a steady presence that transforms the group dynamic. Behind every great leader is often a green, quietly advising, holding space, and making sure nothing falls apart. They don't need the spotlight. They just want everyone to get along. And while some may interpret that as weakness, it's actually a rare kind of strength. Because in a world full of noise, the person who listens, truly listens, holds incredible power. So if you're someone who needs a rock, someone dependable, understanding, and quietly wise, look for the green in your life. They may not dazzle you with words or overwhelm you with passion, but they'll offer something far more valuable: presence, loyalty, and peace. Key insight: still waters run deep. And when you take the time to understand a green, you'll discover a foundation of strength, stability, and silent wisdom. They are the calm in the storm, the quiet hand that steadies the ship. Honor them, and you'll unlock one of the most enduring connections life has to offer. Part 4. The Blue Personality, the Precise Analyst. Imagine someone quietly sitting at the edge of a noisy discussion, arms crossed, eyes slightly narrowed, saying nothing. Then, just when the debate reaches a boiling point, they speak up, and in 2 or 3 calmly delivered sentences, they cut through all the noise with crystal clarity. That's the blue personality. Measured, exact, often silent. But when they speak, it counts. Blues are the thinkers, the planners, the analysts of the personality spectrum. They thrive on logic, data, accuracy, and structure. If you've ever met someone who triple-checks their work, asks a million clarifying questions, or refuses to make a decision without all the facts, that's a blue. Their minds are like high-precision instruments. They don't guess, they calculate, they don't assume, they research. While other personality types act on impulse, emotion, or excitement, blues remain grounded. They think first, act later. They ask, is this right? Is this the best way? What are the risks? What's the evidence? To a blue, the world is a system, something to be understood, mapped, measured, and optimized. They value facts over feelings, truth over popularity, accuracy over speed. If a job is worth doing, it's worth doing right. Sloppiness drives them crazy. Emotional decisions frustrate them. And vague plans? Forget it. Blues need clarity, like a plant needs sunlight. Their strengths are immense. Blues are the people you want when precision matters, when mistakes could be costly or dangerous. They make excellent accountants, engineers, scientists, researchers, and programmers. They bring order to chaos, structure to uncertainty. Their work ethic is strong, their standards are high, and their attention to detail is second to none. But with that power comes certain limitations. Because they're so focused on getting things right, blues often struggle with perfectionism. They may spend too much time planning and not enough time doing. They might get lost in analysis paralysis, unable to move forward until every variable is controlled. They can be slow to make decisions, not because they're indecisive, but because they need certainty. And certainty takes time. Blues are also prone to overthinking. They may replay conversations in their heads, worry about what went wrong, or obsess over things most people would overlook. Their internal standards can be so high that they rarely feel satisfied, even when they do excellent work. In fact, they're often their own harshest critics. Socially, blues are reserved, not necessarily shy, but definitely private. They don't open up easily, and they're slow to trust. They prefer deep conversations over small talk, quality over quantity, and solitude over crowds. That's why they're often misunderstood as cold or distant. But the truth is, blues feel deeply. They just process everything internally first. If a red explodes with emotion and a yellow expresses everything with enthusiasm, a blue internalizes. They take their time. They observe. They reflect. And when they finally respond, it's with a carefully crafted thought, not a reaction. So how do you identify a blue? Listen to how they speak. Blues often use precise language. They may cite facts, research, or numbers. They're less likely to speak in emotional terms and more likely to ask, "What's the data?" or "What's the process?" They often prefer written communication over verbal, and when they talk, it's usually deliberate and measured. Under stress, they retreat into analysis or become hypercritical of others and themselves. Real-life blues are the ones who read instruction manuals for fun. They create spreadsheets for vacation planning. They spot typos instantly. They love solving puzzles, understanding systems, and improving flawed processes. You'll find them in labs, IT departments, quality control offices, or quietly building something perfect behind the scenes. Now let's talk communication. How do you speak to a blue in a way that earns their trust? First, be logical. Don't overwhelm them with emotional appeals or dramatic stories. Stick to facts, clarity, and reasoning. Second, give them time. Blues hate being rushed. If you pressure them into quick decisions, you'll either get silence or resistance. Third, respect their need for accuracy. Don't exaggerate, bluff, or make vague promises. They'll see through it, and you'll lose credibility fast. If you're giving feedback to a blue, be specific. Good job means nothing to them. Tell them exactly what they did well and why. They appreciate feedback that helps them improve. Not flattery, not hype, but actionable detail. And remember, blues don't need to be the center of attention. They don't care about popularity contests or social games. They care about getting things right. If you give them structure, logic, and clear expectations, they'll deliver excellence every time. But blues do struggle in chaotic, fast-moving, or highly emotional environments. They're not wired to go with the flow. Sudden changes, lack of planning, or emotionally charged atmospheres make them uncomfortable. That doesn't mean they can't adapt. It just means they need more time, more explanation, and a sense of control. So, if you're managing or working with a blue, give them the gift of preparation. Let them know what's coming. Provide context. Answer their questions thoroughly. And above all, be patient. Once they feel confident, they'll execute better than anyone you've ever met. Key insight? Blues aren't antisocial. They're deeply thoughtful. Their silence isn't disinterest, it's analysis. Their slow pace isn't reluctance, it's responsibility. If you give them the right environment, one of structure, respect, and clarity, they'll give you brilliance. They may not light up a room like a yellow or charge forward like a red, but blues are the ones who build the systems, protect the quality, catch the errors, and make sure the rest of us don't miss something crucial. They're the brains behind the scenes. And when we stop to appreciate their unique gifts, we begin to see just how indispensable they are. So the next time you meet someone who asks a lot of questions, double-checks everything, and prefers to think before speaking, don't mistake that for distance. That's a blue. And in a world that moves too fast and speaks too loud, we need their calm, careful brilliance more than ever. Part 5. How the colors interact and clash. Have you ever wondered why some people just rub you the wrong way? Or why you can work effortlessly with some colleagues, but constantly feel friction with others? According to Thomas Erikson's Surrounded by Idiots, it all comes down to this: personality colors, and how they collide or complement each other. At the core of most conflicts lie opposing priorities. A red might want things done fast. A blue insists they be done right. A yellow wants to have fun and explore ideas. A green simply wants everyone to get along and avoid chaos. These aren't just preferences. They're fundamental ways people perceive and process the world. And when those worlds collide, sparks fly. Let's break down some of the most common clashes between the color types. Red versus green. The commander meets the peacemaker. This might be the most dramatic contrast of all. Reds are bold, assertive, and thrive on results. Greens are calm, supportive, and avoid confrontation at all costs. To a red, a green might seem slow, indecisive, or even lazy. Why don't they just say what they want? A red might wonder, frustrated by the green's diplomacy and reluctance to push back. To a green, a red can feel like a bulldozer, impatient, cold, and overly aggressive. Greens may retreat or shut down under pressure, which only annoys the red further. Resolution? Mutual awareness. Reds must realize that not everyone communicates with brute force, and that patience isn't weakness. Greens must learn that silence can breed misunderstanding, and that calmly asserting themselves isn't being mean. When both meet halfway, the red gets a more emotionally aware partner, and the green gains the courage to speak up. Yellow versus blue. The dreamer battles the realist. Yellows are creative, spontaneous, and people-oriented. Blues are structured, serious, and task-focused. While yellows talk in metaphors, blues look for numbers. Yellows brainstorm a dozen ideas at once. Blues ask, which one actually works? To a blue, a yellow seems scattered, undisciplined, and overly emotional. They never finish what they start, a blue might think. They're all talk. To a yellow, a blue feels like a wet blanket, critical, negative, and robotic. Why do they always say no? The yellow wonders. Don't they see the possibility here? Resolution? Yellows need to understand that structure isn't the enemy of creativity. It's the scaffolding that brings ideas to life. Blues need to remember that not everything can be measured, and some of the world's greatest breakthroughs started as crazy ideas. When they work together, yellows bring vision, and blues bring execution. Why conflicts happen? Different lenses, not different worth. What looks like a personality flaw is often just a personality difference. Reds don't hate you, they're just results-driven. Greens aren't indecisive, they value harmony. Yellows aren't flaky, they're visionaries. Blues aren't cold, they're careful. When you misinterpret someone's behavior through your own lens, conflict is almost inevitable. If you're a fast-moving red, a blue's need for thorough research may feel like stalling. If you're a harmony-seeking green, a red's directness can feel brutal. But the truth is, neither person is wrong. They're just running on different operating systems. Finding balance in relationships. So how do you navigate a world full of different and sometimes clashing personalities? It begins with empathy. When you understand that someone isn't being difficult, but is simply expressing a different personality language, you can shift from judgment to curiosity. Ask yourself, what matters to this person? What are they trying to achieve? What might stress them out that doesn't bother me? Empathy dissolves tension. It creates room for dialogue instead of defensiveness. Next, tailor your communication. Speak in their language. With reds, be concise. With greens, be gentle. With yellows, be enthusiastic. With blues, be precise. This isn't manipulation, it's respect. Group dynamics. Diversity can be a superpower. In teams, diverse personalities can either be the recipe for disaster or greatness. Imagine a team made up only of reds, ultra-driven, but constantly butting heads. Or a team full of yellows, creative, but no follow-through. A room full of blues might get stuck in planning forever. All greens, a peaceful but stagnant team. The most powerful teams are balanced, where every color is present and every strength is valued. The red leads with boldness. The yellow sparks ideas. The green maintains harmony. The blue ensures quality. But this only works when each person understands the others. Without that, you get endless frustration, deadlines missed, feelings hurt, communication breakdowns. With awareness, however, you get synergy, communication strategies for cross-type harmony. 1. Mirror their pace. If you're fast-paced and talking to a slower-paced person, slow down. If you're reserved and dealing with a high-energy yellow, match some of their enthusiasm. 2. Acknowledge differences openly. Say things like, "I know you like details, so I've got the facts ready." Or, "I know you prefer to talk things out. Let's discuss." 3. Adapt your feedback. Don't sugarcoat things for reds. They want directness. Don't be too harsh with yellows. They'll shut down. For greens, be supportive. For blues, be specific and constructive. 4th, value all contributions. Don't dismiss a green's quiet suggestion or a blue's concern just because they're not loud. Some of the best ideas come from those who don't push their opinions aggressively. Key insight: awareness builds bridges. When people misunderstand each other's personalities, conflict is inevitable. But when we pause, listen, and seek to understand instead of judge, we open doors to cooperation, growth, and trust. In a world full of red urgency, yellow enthusiasm, green calm, and blue precision, success lies in recognizing the value each brings. It's not about changing who you are. It's about expanding how you see others. So the next time someone frustrates you, pause. Instead of assuming they're stubborn, scattered, or slow, ask, what color might they be? And how can I meet them halfway? Because once you understand the colors, you stop seeing idiots and start seeing individuals. Part 6. How to identify your own color and why it matters. What if the key to better relationships, clearer communication, and a more successful life was hidden inside you, just waiting to be uncovered? That's the power of knowing your color. In Surrounded by Idiots, Thomas Erikson emphasizes this truth. Self-awareness is the foundation of everything. When you understand yourself, you unlock the ability to understand others. When you're aware of your strengths and blind spots, you gain the clarity to grow, improve, and lead a more intentional life. Let's take the first step, identifying your color. A simple self-assessment. Ask yourself 2 simple questions. 1. Are you more task-oriented or people-oriented? Do you focus more on results, logic, and getting things done? Or do you prioritize emotions, connection, and harmony? 2. Are you fast-paced or slow-paced? Do you make quick decisions and prefer action? Or do you like to take your time, process, and reflect? Combine your answers, and you begin to see the shape of your personality. Task-oriented plus fast-paced equals red. People-oriented plus fast-paced equals yellow. People-oriented plus slow-paced equals green. Task-oriented plus slow-paced equals blue. Of course, this is a starting point, not a final answer. Human behavior is complex, and no one is just one color. But this simple matrix can give you surprising clarity in seconds. You're a mix, and that's good. You are not a box. You're a spectrum. Most people are a blend of two dominant colors. Maybe you're a fiery red with some yellow flair, or a calm green who leans into blue logic under pressure. Your color combination is what makes you unique. It's why some reds are more empathetic, red-green, why some blues can still be entertaining, blue-yellow, and why some yellows surprise you with their attention to detail, yellow-blue. Understanding your blend helps you avoid rigid labels, and instead, embrace a more dynamic and empowering view of your personality. Why knowing your color changes everything. Once you identify your color, you begin to see why you behave the way you do, why certain tasks energize you and others drain you, why you clash with some people but click instantly with others, why you react emotionally or don't react at all in tense situations, why your strengths can, at times, become your weaknesses. Let's say you're a dominant red. That drive to get things done is powerful, but it can make you steamroll people. If you're a thoughtful blue, your precision is a gift, but perfectionism might be costing you speed and spontaneity. If you're a social yellow, your energy is magnetic, but your follow-through could be weak. And if you're a steady green, your calm presence is stabilizing, but your fear of conflict might hold you back from hard conversations. Knowing your color brings freedom. You stop beating yourself up for not being like them, and you start owning who you are, while also recognizing where you need to grow. Growth begins with ownership. Self-awareness isn't about putting yourself in a box. It's about opening the box and understanding what's inside. It's about saying, yes, I'm driven, red, but I need to work on empathy. Yes, I love people, yellow, but I have to follow through better. Yes, I'm peaceful, green, but I need to speak up more often. Yes, I value precision, blue, but I shouldn't let perfection hold me back. In Erikson's model, each color has a shadow side, a set of tendencies that can sabotage your relationships and goals if left unchecked. The red's shadow: impatience, insensitivity, control. Reds must learn to slow down, listen more, and lead with emotional intelligence. The yellow's shadow: distraction, overpromising, avoiding discomfort. Yellows must learn discipline, follow-through, and resilience in the face of criticism. The green's shadow: avoidance, resistance to change, passivity. Greens must learn to assert themselves, embrace healthy conflict, and take bold steps. The blue's shadow: overanalysis, judgment, emotional withdrawal. Blues must learn flexibility, openness, and the courage to act even without all the data. Growth happens when you can, lovingly but honestly, face your type's flaws and work through them. That's where real transformation begins. Why you can't change others until you understand yourself. Here's the truth that transforms relationships. You can't fix people, but you can understand them. And understanding begins with you. Before you decode someone else's color, decode your own. Learn your triggers. Notice your patterns. Understand what motivates and scares you. This emotional literacy is the foundation of leadership, friendship, love, parenting, and team dynamics. When you understand your tendencies, you stop reacting and start responding. You communicate better. You become a better listener. You adjust instead of blame. You influence without controlling. People around you notice this shift and often begin to shift themselves. Key insight. Know your type to unlock your potential. Your color is not your cage. It's your starting point. It's the foundation upon which you build wisdom, empathy, and excellence. You're not here to change who you are. You're here to own it, refine it, and use it with purpose. So ask yourself, what color am I most of the time? What color do I shift into under stress? Which type do I struggle to understand? And what does that say about me? Knowing your color is the first step toward living more intentionally, leading more effectively, and loving more wisely. Because in the end, self-awareness doesn't just help you understand others. It helps you become the best version of yourself. And when you operate from that place, you stop surviving and start thriving. Part 7. How to use the color system at work. What if the reason your team is underperforming, your meetings are dragging, and your best people keep burning out isn't because they're lazy or incompetent, but because they're misaligned? That's the premise Thomas Erikson presents in Surrounded by Idiots. Most workplace issues aren't about intelligence or skills, they're about misunderstood personalities. When you apply the color system, red, yellow, green, blue, to your workplace, everything starts to shift. Communication improves, morale increases, conflict decreases, and results soar. This isn't a gimmick. It's a framework that transforms how people work together. Here's how to make it real. Team building. Roles that fit like a glove. Every team needs balance. But more than that, every individual needs a role that suits their personality. Reds thrive when they can lead, push boundaries, and chase ambitious goals. Give them big targets and autonomy, and they'll drive the whole team forward. Yellows light up in creative environments. Put them in brainstorming sessions, client presentations, marketing, or storytelling, and let their enthusiasm shine. Greens are the steady heartbeat of any team. They maintain harmony, support others, and carry out routines with calm precision. Give them stability, clarity, and appreciation, and they'll never let you down. Blues are your analysts, planners, and systems designers. They need time, structure, and details. Assign them to quality control, data, logistics, or financial planning, and watch your operations tighten up. When people feel like they're in the right seat on the bus, they don't just work harder, they work happier. Engagement, loyalty, and innovation rise. Hiring. Matching the person to the position. Hiring isn't just about credentials, it's about compatibility. You're not just filling a role, you're shaping a culture. Hiring a red for a support role with repetitive tasks will backfire. They'll get bored and disruptive. A yellow in a highly isolated, rigid job will quickly lose motivation. A green placed in a cutthroat sales environment may feel anxious and withdrawn. A blue in a chaotic, fast-paced startup may freeze up without clear direction. Before you hire, ask, what personality would thrive here? Match the color to the context, not just the resume to the role. Use interviews to detect color traits. Reds will speak in short, decisive sentences. They'll focus on results. Yellows will smile often, share stories, and use expressive body language. Greens will nod, listen carefully, and speak gently. Blues will ask detailed questions and want to understand the process. Don't hire your clone. Hire for balance. Diversity of style is the secret to a well-rounded team. Leadership. One size doesn't fit all. Great leadership is about adaptability. You lead a red differently than you lead a green. If you try to use the same tone, feedback style, or motivation strategy with everyone, you'll lose half your team. With reds, be direct, concise, and goal-focused. Let them lead. Challenge them. With yellows, be enthusiastic, collaborative, and positive. Encourage their ideas. Make them feel seen. With greens, be gentle, patient, and reassuring. Provide consistency. Avoid public confrontation. With blues, be thorough, logical, and prepared. Respect their intelligence. Give them clear guidelines. When leaders understand personality colors, they don't just lead better, they build trust. And trust is what makes people follow you even when things get tough. Conflict resolution. It's not personal, it's personality. Most workplace conflicts are personality clashes in disguise. A red manager might accuse a green employee of being too slow, when really, the green is just thorough and avoids rash decisions. A yellow might frustrate a blue by being scattered and carefree, while the blue seems uptight and critical in return. A green might avoid giving feedback to a red, fearing confrontation, while the red thinks the green is disengaged. Once you apply the color lens, you stop seeing conflict as difficult people and start seeing it as different perspectives. That shift alone reduces tension. To resolve workplace tension, 1. Identify the colors in conflict. 2. Clarify what each person needs to feel respected. 3. Teach both sides to flex slightly toward each other's communication style. 4. Focus on shared goals rather than differences. This isn't about changing who people are. It's about helping them speak each other's language. Real-world success stories. Many top companies already use personality science to transform their cultures. Salesforce, Google, and Netflix invest in personality profiling to improve team communication. Southwest Airlines is known for hiring based on personality fit, not just skills. Zappos built its brand around hiring positive, team-oriented people, many of whom are classic yellows and greens. When companies use tools like DISC, which Erikson's color system is based on, they reduce turnover, increase employee engagement, improve team collaboration, accelerate performance. It's not magic, it's alignment. Key insight. The workplace isn't broken, it's misaligned. You don't need a better office, you need better understanding. When you align roles to personalities, when you lead with empathy, and when you resolve conflict through the color lens, you unlock the true potential of your team. The people around you aren't idiots. They're just different. Understand those differences, and your workplace becomes not just functional, but extraordinary. Part 8. How to use the color system in personal life and relationships. Have you ever loved someone dearly, yet found yourself constantly frustrated by how they think, act, or communicate? Have you ever felt unseen, misunderstood, or even emotionally drained in relationships that should bring you joy? That's not a failure of love. It's a failure of understanding. Thomas Erikson's color personality system isn't just for boardrooms and team meetings. It's just as powerful at home, in friendships, in parenting, and in romantic relationships. When you learn to see the color behind someone's behavior, what once seemed confusing or even hurtful now makes sense. You stop reacting and start relating. Why opposites attract and fight. In relationships, opposites often attract. A fiery red might fall for a calm green. An imaginative yellow might click with a detail-loving blue. Why? Because opposites offer balance. Where one is weak, the other is strong. But that same difference that attracts can later cause tension. The red partner may feel the green is indecisive or too passive. The blue might find the yellow irresponsible or scatterbrained. The green might think the red is too harsh or always rushing. The yellow might feel the blue is too serious or emotionally closed off. These clashes aren't because someone is wrong. They're because both people are interpreting behavior through their own lens. The cure? Step into the other person's color, understand what drives them, validate their needs, and express your own in a way they understand. Parenting with personality insight. Parenting is one of the most emotional, rewarding, and challenging roles in life. Understanding your child's color can completely transform your connection. A red child needs independence, challenge, and clear boundaries. Don't micromanage. Set expectations. Then let them lead. A yellow child thrives on fun, attention, and praise. Criticism can shut them down. Encourage their imagination and involve them in storytelling. A green child needs routine, reassurance, and emotional safety. Sudden changes or high-pressure environments can overwhelm them. A blue child needs structure, logic, and clear rules. They may question everything, but that's how they make sense of the world. Parenting isn't about cloning your values into a tiny human. It's about nurturing who they already are. When you adjust your approach based on your child's personality, you create a home of trust and understanding. Friendships, connecting across colors. Friendships often form naturally with people who get us. But the richest, most growth-producing friendships are often the ones with those who don't think like us. To connect deeply across colors. With reds, be straightforward. They appreciate directness and loyalty. With yellows, be playful and spontaneous. They feed off your energy. With greens, be patient and steady. They open up slowly but deeply. With blues, be thoughtful and respectful. They value depth over frequency. And remember, when a friend pulls back, acts differently, or needs something you don't understand, ask instead of assuming. Friendship grows when you make space for someone else's rhythm. Marriage and dating. Speaking their color language. In romantic relationships, it's not love that fails, it's communication. Most conflicts come down to expectations not being met, and those expectations often come from your personality type. If your red partner seems distant, they may simply be in action mode. Don't take it personally. Ask what they're focused on. If your yellow partner seems distracted, they're not ignoring you. They're overflowing with new ideas. Help them stay anchored without smothering their spark. If your green partner avoids tough conversations, they're not hiding. They're afraid of conflict. Create a safe, gentle space to open up. If your blue partner overanalyzes everything, they're not cold. They're just trying to make sense of their emotions through logic. Give them time and clarity. Love grows not when we demand change, but when we learn each other's color language. When a red learns to slow down for a green, when a yellow learns to respect a blue's boundaries, that's not compromise. It's emotional fluency. Preventing emotional burnout. Adjusting expectations. Many emotional breakdowns in personal life come from unrealistic expectations. You expect your partner, friend, or child to react like you would, and when they don't, it feels like rejection or disrespect. But once you understand personality colors, you realize the red didn't snap because they hate you. They're just urgent and focused. The yellow didn't forget your birthday on purpose. They got excited and distracted. The green didn't avoid the topic because they don't care. They're overwhelmed. The blue didn't criticize you to hurt you. They genuinely want things to improve. When you adjust your expectations to match someone's color, your emotional load lightens. You stop taking things personally and start seeing them clearly. Key insight: love grows when understanding replaces assumption. You don't need to fix people. You don't need to decode them. You simply need to understand their color. When you stop assuming everyone thinks like you unlock the true magic of human connection. So the next time someone drives you crazy, ask yourself, what color are they? Because once you see the color beneath the behavior, what once felt like conflict turns into compassion. And that shift changes everything. Finally, you're not surrounded by idiots. You're surrounded by opportunities. It's time to shatter the myth that anyone around you is an idiot. The truth Thomas Erikson reveals in Surrounded by Idiots is far more empowering. There are no idiots, only people who see the world differently than you do. Each personality color represents a unique way of processing information, reacting to challenges, and connecting with others. When you grasp this, the whole world shifts. What once felt like frustration now becomes empathy. What seemed like confusion transforms into clarity. You stop judging behavior and start understanding motivation. This book doesn't just change how you see others, it changes how you see yourself. But understanding is only the beginning. The real magic happens when you act. Observe the people around you, their words, their actions, their pauses. Listen differently. Don't just hear the words, sense the color behind them. Then adapt your own communication to meet them where they are. Imagine the power of every conversation being your best conversation. What if every disagreement became a bridge instead of a battle? What if every interaction left both of you feeling seen, heard, and respected? This is your call to adventure, to move from frustration to connection, from isolation to understanding. Start by reflecting. Who in your life have you misunderstood? Who have you labeled unfairly? Now that you can see their color, how will you reconnect? Don't wish people were different. Understand how they are, and your world will never be the same. If you found this video helpful and eye-opening, please take a moment to like it. It really helps us reach more people who need this message. Don't forget to share it with your friends, family, or anyone who struggles to understand the people around them. And if you want to keep learning and growing with us, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support means the world and keeps this community thriving.